more useless than a corner marker at Croft, this is the Final Corner podcast. I'm joined by Tom and by Nick.
Hello.
That's the best intro yet. Hello.
Even the ones I did in Spanish, that one's better.
Oh no, that was a highlight.
Yep, we're back at Croft for the British Touring Car Championship, halfway point in the season. But a funny track, Croft, I always think. You've always got the potato fields at the side, which are always...
Yeah.
Someone always ends up in at some point. And then you've got the really fast section, and then some corners that Nick I'll like to talk about later on.
Oh, yes.
So, going into the weekend, probably big news was that Dan Lloyd was there, despite his 95 grand repair bill, and I think Dan should smash up his car more often.
It was a good luck charm.
Yeah.
Seemed to work. 2 wins at his home track as well, according to
No.
the BTCC
Yes.
website.
No.
Even during the commentary.
And yeah, do you know what the thing? All right, fair enough. There's a hooky story to it, and I'll talk about distance, but then it was justified on the coverage at some point by someone. Apologies, I didn't quite catch it. Well, it is in the same county as Huddersfield. No, it's not. It isn't. North Yorkshire is a different county to West Yorkshire. I know they've got Yorkshire in the name, but it is counted as a different county. They don't just count Yorkshire as one county. It shares part of the name, but it's a separate county. So it winds me up so much.
I hadn't noticed.
Yeah. First it was James Thompson's home track. Now it's Jason Plater came from somewhere near Newcastle at some point in his life, and now it's Dan Lloyd's home track, apparently, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is a northern rant that's happening here.
It is.
All us northerners are lumped in together and
Yeah, exactly.
feel your pain.
I mean, Knock Hill is Rory Butcher and Gordon Shedden's home track because it is their home.
Well, yeah.
But this is slightly different.
Yeah, everyone in Scotland's home track is Knock Hill, so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
that's the only one that's there.
Apart from the fictional one round, was it Loch Ness from Toka 2? Anyway, I'm going off on one there.
Oh, yes. No, that was a good one. And it's touring car related, so it counts.
Try to think what other racetracks there is. There's a couple, but they're I could walk around them in about 2 minutes.
There's an old one, isn't there? We should move on. I'll find it though and come back to it at the end.
Yeah.
There's one in Fife, which is tiny.
Okay.
And there's a few speedway tracks. And I did one of the track experiences out at the Highland Centre, out at the airport. They make a track there every now and again. It's got potholes in it though, which wasn't fun in an area like that.
Never a good sign, potholes, is it?
No. So, last round before the summer break and qualifying. Tom, you're the only one that watches qualifying.
Well, yes. The qualifying was very exciting. Some might say more exciting than the majority of the races this weekend.
Would you say that?
I might say that. But before then, free practice, Dan Camish had a big shunt at turn 1. And I don't know if either of you saw this. They showed the onboard footage during qualifying and maybe during some of the early race coverage where it just sort of went straight on and heavily into the barriers at the first corner. Mm-hmm. Tower bend. Car seemed to be snaking around weirdly at the back. He wasn't really in control. It's undetermined what the exact cause is my understanding. And also I meant Clervaux, not Tower bend. And it seems like either there was like a tyre failure, a suspension failure, or a braking issue at the rear.
Yeah.
But basically you just can't control it and go straight on.
Yeah.
And it's quite big.
I saw the video you shared on that one, and it definitely, to me, I thought it was just a rear puncher. But I'm not sure. It's definitely something, as soon as you touch the brakes, something happens.
Snakes around, doesn't it? Yeah. Now, we'll come to punches and suspension failures later on.
Oh, yes.
But that could be one. Also, there were some ducks walking across the track. That was Tower Bend. I don't know if either of you saw this.
I've seen the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was during the Formula 4 race on the Saturday, I believe. And David Hudson made some sort of duck l'orange joke, which I can't even... It was tenuous at best. And then also, just quickly as well, Carl Baldley was supposed to be driving, but fell ill on the Saturday. So that car, which was Rick Parfitt Jr.'s, didn't take part at all, unfortunately. So hope he gets well soon. And then qualifying. Yes, right. So we got to the final bit of a rant here. Sorry, Adam Morgan locked up massively on his first flying lap at Clervaux. Front wheels locked up. Went into the gravel. Hit the wall with the front left. Got stuck in the gravel. Was pushed out by the marshals. Carried on. The red flag though was flown very quickly. And then technically there was a debate as to whether he's allowed to continue in the session. He was told he wasn't allowed to continue. Then that was reversed, which is all very confusing. Because, and the commentators seem to believe it's because when he was pushed back on, it was pushed on by people and not a machine or a vehicle. So therefore he was allowed to continue. But then later on, the normal rule came into force, which was his quickest lap of the session was removed. But it was really unclear and very confusing. Dexter Patterson then went off soon after and did the exact same thing. He hit the wall, but then was able to carry on through the gravel trap. Didn't need assistance, but the red flag was still flown. Kind of an interesting thing there. Always important to be safe, but it almost like he did it and was slowed down a lot, but he didn't need assistance to get out of the gravel trap. He just selected first and went off. So because of that, his fastest lap was removed, but then he wasn't allowed to continue because the front wing was missing off the car. So it didn't matter anyway. So that's all a bit of a mess, I thought. And then Josh Cook had rear left suspension failure. So the first visible of the weekend, arguably maybe the second with Dan Lloyd, Dan Camish, we're not too sure. So that was the drama, other than when Turkington, once he'd finished the session, he came onto the weighbridge, then the car would not restart, he had to be pushed. Then there was a debate of, well, now is he completely thrown out of qualifying? But he wasn't, so clearly there isn't a rule over that your car has to be. I thought your car had to start under its own power after that, but it didn't, and he was still in qualifying. So I need to look into the rule book there.
Yeah.
How about that? You see, that's a lot more dramatic than race 1, race 2.
We'll just wrap it up there then.
Yeah.
Yep, see you later.
With those red flags, is it a case of they need to check the barriers are intact before they can go racing?
It could be.
It's the only reason I think of, because...
Yeah. And it's just in the case of the Patterson one, it was like, almost not mid-accident, but before he's entered Hawthorne, red flag.
Yeah.
But you're right, it could be that the barrier was already hit by Morgan once, so that's a valid safety concern, so very good point. But it was just a confusion over, well, hang on, Morgan's clearly stuck in a gravel trap, but now he's allowed to continue, but he's not allowed to continue. But the car's fine, other than it needed some gaffer tape.
The obligatory gaffer tape.
Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda style. But that was it.
Yeah, there was a couple of things that I saw as well, in terms of not so much qualifying, but for the whole weekend, was that they were using flags this weekend.
Yeah, no whiteboards at Croft, they said on comment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wonder why that is.
Which is the first time this season, I think. Just I don't think the lights exist at Croft, is what I mean.
Okay. Now, I thought when it's a different thing for this year, isn't it? But when the lights were very first introduced, wasn't it tied in with the awful accident a few years ago at qualifying at Croft? Anyway, so it seems a bit weird that they're not in use at Croft, but I don't know the budgetary concerns and the exact specifics of this track.
No, I would guess it is MSV, isn't it?
Not sure Croft is,
No, I mean, it's MSV is Jonathan Palmer's.
Oh, yes, correct. Yes, sorry.
And I'm pretty sure all of those tracks have light boards, but the other tracks that are independent, I'm not sure.
Okay, fair enough. One final point is that Michael Kreese caused a red flag at the end with, I think, less than a minute, but it was not shown or explained as to why at any other point, I don't believe. So who knows what was going on there.
Yeah. Turkington as well was actually in his old car, wasn't he, this weekend?
Yes. This was from 2019, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And it still had to be to go to the chassis expert to modify some things for the hybrid as well, didn't it? So it's not like a straight put the batteries in. It actually needed some mods. But clearly that was quicker to do than fix the one in the Alton incident.
Yes. What was it they said? Was it 40 Gs, that crash?
Yeah, it was bad.
That was what he experienced.
Bad.
And Dan Lloyd was actually technically suspended from racing this weekend, wasn't he, until he had a GP review.
Correct. Yeah, so it could have been, even when you get all the monetaries sorted or a plan in place, then you still have to get reviewed. So, yeah, he did a good YouTube video about that, didn't he?
Yeah, I caught that one. I don't catch enough of his YouTube videos, but I did catch that one.
Yeah.
So it was Turkington on pole from Robot and Lloyd, top 3.
Any opinions on that, Colin?
Yeah.
No.
For me, just brilliant that both Colin and Dan Lloyd were that high up with what are both effectively brand new cars.
Yeah, that's a very good point. There's a couple of drivers technically underperformed, I would say. Where was Cook on the grid?
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. 20th. I think he said they were struggling with setup first off, and then all weekend they're just struggling with the M Sport engine to get any speed out of it.
Yeah, and so he did have this suspension issue in the qualifying as well, so that clearly hampered him. He did get back out, but I don't know how much time left at the end of the session. If he had enough time to cycle through the tyres, is what they're supposed to do. So that's got to be a factor there.
Yeah. From the qualifying roundup they showed on the program, they made it sound as if he didn't really get a chance to do anything after that.
Yeah.
The straight line speed is a big issue for them, though. They've got a tyre test coming up, which says they're going to try and get some more performance out of the engine, but I think they're kind of shouting for a bit of help.
Yeah, I still can't understand what the issue is. Like I said, it always just seems to be whichever car Plato is in, that team has no straight line speed.
I don't think he's even...
It's the same with the Astra.
Yeah, I don't think he's even started his campaign properly yet for that.
Yeah.
No.
No.
But yeah, cause
when Cook's leading the championship and complaining, though, I think he'll just leave that complaint to that.
Yeah. It's definitely an issue, but it seems to be more like an installation or something else that's the problem, because other teams running that same engine don't seem to be having the same issues.
Top M Sport car in qualifying was butchering 11th, so it's not exactly sparkling, is it? But you have to say there's more cars on the grid with their own custom engines this year as well, which doesn't help the persuasion. It's really difficult to know. Really difficult to know what's actually going on there.
What do the Infinities run then? Are they not the M Sport?
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Alright. I thought Moffat was higher, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, you got a good point. There you go, Moffat, P10. But it was pole last year, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
I think he'd take top 10.
Oh, yeah.
After the years added them. So.
Yeah.
On to race 1.
Yeah.
Dan Lloyd gets a super start and he's past Robottom almost immediately. Gordon Shedden gets a nightmare start, drops backwards. He's on the back foot for the first few corners, and then he runs wide at the chicane after contact, I think, with Ash Sutton. Broken
Not
suspension.
big contact. Not big contact.
No, but still enough to break his suspension, and that ends his race 1.
So we're up to 2 suspension breakages at this point.
You keeping a tally?
I am, yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Aaron Morgan got a great start, while Ricky Collard got a decent launch. He managed to get around the outside of 3 cars and outside of turn 1. I thought it was brave.
It was premeditated as well, I believe. Both Rob Austin and Rob Collard had advised him to do this.
The old hands.
Yeah.
Wily old foxes, etc., etc. What did Tim Harvey say at the weekend? Is some driver's an old dog on new body or something? I was like, what? I think it's old head, isn't it?
I didn't catch that bit. Or if I did, it just didn't go in.
Dan Lloyd then makes a move for the lead on Turkington through the S's. He managed to get around the outside through the first part, which I thought was very brave, considering he's just spent 95 grand fixing that car.
Yeah.
He was on it, wasn't he?
Yeah. Not only was it brave, but it was sideways as well.
Yeah. I think he said after the race they got their setup wrong for that one. So the back end was flapping about all race, but they managed to change it for race 2 and fix it. But yeah, to pull off that move and then keep the lead all the way through with a wary back end. Fair play to him. We then get a safety car as Ollie Jackson's in the wall.
Why was he in the wall?
I don't know. He was just in the wall. Do you know why he was in the wall?
I think it was broken suspension.
Yep.
So there was an incident, I think, before he ends up in the wall, which was involving Morgan and Plato. I think it was under yellows. at the time, or it was the yellows had just been thrown. And
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah, Morgan runs wide and coming back onto track for the next corner, he then gets punted off by Plato. Well, but looking at it, I think he maybe turned in, didn't give him enough space. I think Plato had other cars around him. So they went live to Morgan once he'd recovered onto the radio, and he wasn't happy with Jason at all on the TV.
I mean, there's no steward action on this, so it suggests that there's something else involved.
Yeah.
We didn't quite get a clear angle of it, did we?
No, I think we got like a bumper cam angle of it, but it doesn't show what's going on around the other car.
What? It looked like the suspension broke on Jackson's car, but we didn't get a clear view. But when he's off in the barrier, I thought at first, he's been punted off and he's hit the barrier. But actually what happens is his suspension's broken before sunny out and he pulls off. So there's a couple of different theories. I think you've got an idea, haven't you, Nick, of what might have happened?
I did, but I'm not sure now after...
Well, neither of us are.
On the first lap, he cuts the chicane, which I think is turn 4, and takes out one of the plastic barriers. Not the little flappy markers, but one of the big plastic barriers. But he hits that with the front right.
I think so.
And I believe you were saying it was the front left.
Yeah.
That actually took damage, so I'm not sure if it's related or not, but he did half whack that barrier on the way through.
There's not a clear shot. There is a clear shot of that, though, so that could be a contributing factor. But there's not a clear shot of the whole Morgan-Plato contretemps, and I think Jackson's on the inside of Jason going into Sonny in, and Jason's trying to get away from Morgan on his left, and there's a little rub side by side going into that corner, and maybe that's broken the suspension. Either way, though, it's not a big punt-off incident that he's then driven into the wall. So I'm counting that as 3 suspension failures and 1 possible so far.
We'll then get more punctures and suspension failures. Will Powell gets a puncture. Ricky Collard then has a puncture.
Both left rears that first came into their awareness at the complex.
So probably curb related for those. And then Aaron Taylor-Smith ends up in the barriers, which brings out the second safety car of the race. His car just exited stage left.
And that's a broken right rear suspension. And there's no obvious contact with another car. Obviously, it could be to do with how he's taking the chicane. But he fires off into the wall like Matt Jackson in 2009 or James Thompson in 1998. Except they didn't have suspension failures. So slightly concerning.
Yeah, definitely.
Is your memory this good for everything, or is it just touring
No,
cars?
literally just British touring cars. Unfortunately, I can't remember anything that's important in my life. It's very unfortunate.
Well, the other thing is that me and Colin don't generally remember them either, so you're probably just making them up.
Yeah. Yeah. We just agree in every episode. That was it. Race to 1, I think. Lloyd
Basically.
won. Held off Turkington. Colin made a little move on the last lap, but backed out of it. And then Rowbottom managed to hold off Ingram to keep third.
Without any mirrors as well.
Or did they lose them?
He lost both mirrors at some point during that race.
Good.
So, which apparently contributed to who was it behind Rowbottom?
Ingram.
He said that he was aware that he'd lost his mirrors and wasn't too happy about sticking his nose in case he got chopped off.
Ah, clever. Especially when you're a championship fight.
Yeah, but he even said himself it also gave Dan the perfect excuse to turn in on him. So,
yeah.
But I thought it was good that he noticed that as well, though.
Yeah, that's good. I thought Turkington was going to go for it there a bit more. He had an overlap into the first part of the complex, but Lloyd had him covered, but a bit late. But it was all fine in the end. But I've envisaged them, coming side by side out of the hairpin, which happens sometimes at Croft. When there was a great battle between Rob Collard and Gordon Shedden one year, where they were side by side, and I think Shedden put Collard on the grass in a straight line. But anyway,
Oh yeah,
I think that might have been 2010. Could be wrong. Anyway, that wasn't this race, unfortunately.
No. Bit of a low-key first race of the weekend, despite a couple of safety cars. So on to race 2. Dan Lloyd
Oh,
managed.
you've missed one thing out, of course.
Oh God, I forgot. On you go.
Yeah.
I wasn't the one that
You've
forgot
got to
this
remember
time.
The Gamble Watch.
Gamble Watch.
He was 9th place.
Which is where he qualified, I think, wasn't it?
Indeed. And also a shout out to James Gornall as well for getting points on his first race back.
Very impressive without a proper test to jump in, off for a while from front-wheel drive touring cars as well. I just want to clarify. I think I might have said on the last episode, was it, or something, or recently, that he did mini driving. Clio's, but he's actually a mini he's former mini champion, which obviously these days has replaced the Clio. So he does have a pedigree in front-wheel drive as well as a British GT champion. So where did he come? 14th
14th
in the points
after qualifying 15th.
Yeah, solid, and that's a good, I don't know, 10 positions more than Buttel has done so far this year, generally speaking.
Exactly, yeah.
Race 2 then, and Dan Lloyd managed to keep the lead off the line, and Ingram got round outside the row bottom into turn 1/2. Ends up on the gravel, sliding his back end out, but managed to keep the move.
Through Hawthorne.
Is this the time that you want to tackle the corner, Nick? Or...
Pretty much, yeah.
Right, on you go.
It's just that general whole first/second corner that they're constantly out wide on. They put those little markers there that's going to stop them for all of 2 seconds before they smash it out of the way. But yeah, it's just the fact that they're on any given lap, there's always at least one car out of a group that is wide of that line. And it just annoys me. Either adjust the track so it actually goes that way, or put in some kind of penalty for being wide, be it gravel or some kind of rumble strip's probably not a good idea because it's quite a tight area. But just something where they get punished for actually abusing the track limits there.
It's an interesting point because so many other circuits we have, the BTCC has the pressure plates at certain corners. You watch qualifying and everyone's getting pinged for track limits. And here it's like nothing, nothing happens. I mean, Gordon Shedden had that idea, didn't he? Of what was it? Getting rid of the whole first section or something.
Well, I think he was saying getting rid of that very first chicane and just having it straight into like the
Tower Bend,
the long right-hander.
Yeah. Well, that does make sense actually. I think.
Would you do that? As well, because nobody takes it.
It's just a pinch point as well. It doesn't really add much to the racing, I don't think.
No, you could put a tyre stack there, but it would get wiped out immediately as well.
I mean, it's all very easy to say because we don't have the budget for the track, right? But I'm with you, Nick. It's like,
but yeah,
not an ideal scenario or something at the current state.
The corner after as well, where you have the little chicane after the long right-hander, people always cut across that and either gain time or don't lose time. And I always think there should be some penalty for cutting that as well. Even
or in Ollie
like
Jackson's case, hit a barrier filled with water, which is actually quite dangerous, isn't it? Yeah.
But that's very in F1, for instance, where they do certain places like that where you must go to the left or the right of a certain marker before you reach your
Yeah.
Just
why isn't that here?
Yeah, because they just power full speed across it and then slow down a bit to let the person that they were battling with past. But it also means they're not punished for anyone who is behind them making up spaces. But yeah, hashtag end of rant.
I loved it how it was scheduled in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd pre-booked his rant. Ingram then put pressure on Colin Turkington for second into the S's, and he managed to squeeze his way through for second, similar as Lloyd did in race 1. Ollie Jackson then got a great start, and Ricky Collard struggled off the line again. Dexter Patterson on lap 1 almost got wiped out by a bunch of cars when Shedden was kind of trying to fight his way through the pack. Speaking of Gordon, he managed to get from 29th or 28th up to 19th, but even by the start of lap 3. So he was just making moves left, right and centre.
On a mission. And it was the most interesting part of this race, I thought.
It was, yeah. He himself said he would not be doing many overtakes in this race because it's impossible. And he just went straight through everyone.
He did, yeah. He said, the aim is to try and get back in that reverse grid draw, but it's not looking likely, or something like this. But anyway, spoilers, that's exactly what happened.
Creasy then had to retire.
Creasy.
Greasy had to retire with suspension damage. Sorry, Michael, if you're listening to this. So he retires with suspension damage. Jade Edwards gets a drive-through, which I believe was for a start infringement.
Yeah. Wasn't said exactly what it was, but some... Oh, no, they did say in the end it was team member on the grid.
Ah, okay. But you can be like Ollie Jackson with like 6 miles out of position and it's fine.
Yeah.
At Donington.
Yeah.
No, but I understand. I fully appreciate that you can't have a team member on the grid, so that's worthy of a penalty. That's an unfair comparison. Perhaps.
James Gornall then has suspension failure through turn 1 and ends up in the wall, so that's another 2 to add to your list.
I was just going to say, did you say suspension failure? So we don't know what happened.
Suspension.
Oh yeah, it definitely was. We don't know what happened with Creasy. That was off. That was off camera. But it was a front right. Gornall just turns around the corner and the front left brakes. It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's just not an acceptable scenario. I'll get onto that in a bit. I'm going to schedule my rant for later on. But the Ingram move around Turkington for second,
yes,
and the Dan Lloyd move around Turkington for first in the first race threw up an interesting predicament for me with the rules, because we now know that the boost at the start of a race has been reduced on the rear-wheel drive cars below a certain speed or RPM speed.
Yeah.
So try and level the starts out. I do think, I don't know if you agree, either of you, that the starts were relatively even at this round.
Yep, definitely.
So you would say, well done, brilliant. Except the rear-wheel drive cars can't heat their tyres up, so they're always going to be vulnerable in the first lap. So the argument against that change could be that, yes, we get a better start, but then we're in a worse position for 2 laps while our tyres come up to temperature slower. And now they can't get they just get the same start, and they're going to get mugged for 2 laps in a row if they're not careful, right? I'm just trying to be Dick Bennett here.
Yeah, the BMWs have always had tyre warm-up issues, but like you say, they've always had a payoff as well as that, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that before.
It's tit for tat, and I do think that's what I would be arguing if I had a rear-wheel drive car.
Do you think they'll have a moan, BMW?
Oh, yeah. Why
Why
wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? If this continues, this trend of... Obviously, it's very easy to say that because it depends on the positioning of the car, if the driver's defending or not defending, the layout of the circuit. So maybe that's very hard to define, but that's a known thing now, and it seems to be more. It's been a known thing for a while, but it's all through this season. The last couple of rounds especially. It's like, right, attack on lap 1 on a rear-wheel drive car. Send it.
They do actually still have the positive side of it in that they have less tyre wear through the race distance, so they are generally better at the end of a race.
Right. But these days, the Goodyears don't wear out that much. Like, if you go back to like 2007, 8, 9 on the Super 2000 cars, then the Dunlops, same company, but different brand, they did used to wear out a bit more, and the BMWs would always come through the race towards the end.
Yeah.
Especially like in the Giovinazzi era. But now, it's quite rare to see, like, you do see it a little bit. Clearly, Turkington came back at Lloyd a bit in the first race, right? But not enough to be like night and day quicker.
Yeah.
But you're right, that's also another swings around about. It's an age-old debate, and I'm actually kind of fed up of every single time we go on board with a BMW or Infiniti, we have to be told it's rear-wheel drive.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's for another time. Wow, we've been airing our opinions on this podcast so far. Meanwhile, Colin's just sat there going, shit, oh man, I'm going to have to edit this out.
Not at all. Shedden's still making progress and manages to get up alongside Josh Cook and just power straight past him, which just highlights the problems they've got with their straight line speed. Ricky Collard then makes a huge lunge on Ollie Jackson, which causes a bit of contact. He can't make the position, so Ollie stays in front, and Tim Harvey thinks that's all fine. You can dive bomb people this year because the rules say that.
I think we have a different interpretation of the rules, don't we? Than what was said in the commentary there.
Yeah, it's if you're alongside, but to me that means you've got to be alongside in the braking at a reasonable point. You can't just suddenly be alongside at the apex.
Yeah. It was it's 2 car lengths back, and Ollie Jackson's already started the turning procedure.
Yeah, we've spoken about suspension a lot, but Jackson's managed to survive that, which I didn't think.
That's because he's hitting the door, though, isn't he? But you're right. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I suppose. So then, Gamble watch early. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah.
He has to pit with a problem. Didn't see what the problem was, but I don't think he came back out.
Yeah, he lost drive, but I'm not sure what the reason for that was. He just went very slowly out of the last corner.
Yeah, it was strange. Jake Hill then managed to get round outside the row bottom at the S's. Similar move as Ingram and Lloyd, but he did run wide on the exit. But that doesn't matter. So he managed to he got kicked to place. Row bottom was just defending all weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He never once got to look forward. And if he had his mirrors in race 1, he'd be looking in them.
Yeah.
I felt a bit sorry for him. There's then a bit of contact between Ricky Patterson? Who the hell's Ricky Patterson? Dexter Patterson and Ricky Colhart at the hairpin. Dexter makes a late switch back into the hairpin up inside. There's a bit of contact. And then there's some smoke coming from Colhart's car. And I think a lap or two later, he then pulls into the pits and retires. There was a gap. It was one of those. There was contact. It was a gap, and it's worth going for if you're Dexter.
Yeah, I thought it was a good move.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that at least he's making moves, right, and giving it a bash. Literally in this sense.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Well, a couple laps later, he pulls the exact same move on Ollie Jackson to get past, and that was clean.
Not many overtakes at the hairpin this year, though. In general,
no.
Everyone seems to be too wise to the manoeuvres there.
I think there's a bit of that, and then there's a big bit of ballast.
What do you mean?
There's not a ballast. So.
Oh, yeah.
What's what you mean? Yes. Yeah, I was
sorry
lost for a second.
It's not the same. Yeah. There's not the same speed difference through sunny in, sunny out and everything.
Exactly, yeah.
And in terms of hybrid, where do you use it on this track? Straight after the first chicane.
Do you know what?
And then after that,
I realised that quite a few of the drivers, it was very rarely on the screen, they just weren't using their allocation of hybrid through the races. Dan Lloyd didn't in race 1, I don't think. There was like 9 laps left and he had 13 laps of hybrid. I've got the numbers completely wrong, but I realised at the time that actually he doesn't have enough to do hybrid in every lap. It's weird. And drivers were finishing laps with still some left, so...
Yeah. I know the safety cars caused a couple of issues in the first race because they're not allowed to use it on the laps sort of after the safety cars, etc.
It could be that. It could be that.
Having problems with that.
Well spotted, Nick. On
it. Shedden and Cammage are then side by side at the first chicane, and Cammage is forced to go across the infield and yields the position, which puts Shedden into 12th. Very important 12th position. And the race finishes with Dan Lloyd taking his second win of the day. Tom Ingram up to second, and Tuckerton gets his second podium in third.
On the final lap, Ingram closed in quite a bit, certainly through the first half lap, didn't he? And I thought, here we go, there's a dive, but nothing happened, unfortunately.
No, what I did notice on that is that Dan Lloyd had actually saved hybrid, but Turkington and Ingram hadn't for the last lap. So I think once he got through the first complex, he just had the hybrid to pull away again.
Fair enough, yeah. Good, interesting. So, Turkington didn't win that one either. So he had 13 wins at Croft going into this weekend, I think. And no more.
Yeah.
No more.
Dan Lloyd now has 3.
Yes, because he won in, was it the BTC race in Honda Civic?
Yeah.
But I can't remember. Someone was saying in the commentary, Dan Lloyd might get his first pole position here. And I in my mind, he was on pole for this win at Croft, but maybe it was reverse grid. I can't, or maybe it was finished second.
I swear he started first. But whether or not it was... Yeah.
I'll have to go back in the archive for that.
On our next feature then, Nick, is it Ballgate?
It was, yeah, and it seems to have died down now. It's a consistent 7-ball layout.
And Dan Lloyd keeping the form of the season. He pulls out number 12.
Yes.
But didn't give enough time to show it to the camera and just threw it back in the ball.
No, I know.
Yeah. He should have just lied. No do it alone. Yeah, freeze we hissy fit. So Lloyd puts himself into 12th and puts Gordon Shedden on pole.
And that was the last we saw of Gordon Shedden.
Yeah. Yep, Shedden, good start, and he's gone. Just consistently 2.8 seconds ahead of whoever was behind him.
Cool.
Not to be seen again.
one thing from race 2, Ash Hand got a 4-second penalty for an illegal overtake. Did anyone actually see what that was?
No, and I was trying to work out where
anyway.
it could be, and it's got to be at that little chicane, hasn't it?
I'd have thought so, yeah. But no, I was just curious if anyone spotted it.
Not at all. No, sorry. But good point to raise.
No. Off the start, for race 3, Aaron Moffat had a massive welcome into turn 1. And I wasn't sure if there was a bit of contact here or later, but you think the contact was here that he had at the
I think
front
so,
of the turn?
yeah. Straight into the back of Chilton's Hyundai. So it's given them both a bit of damage. But what, are you sniggering there?
Oh, that was me. I was just thinking, normally Chilton's going too slow, which is why people drive into the back of him. But he actually had a reasonable weekend this weekend.
Yeah. It was top 10 pace, wasn't it, for the most of it, I think?
Yeah.
Anyway, that buckles the bonnet of the Infinity, doesn't it? And then later he gets the black and orange flag and has to pull in for some remedies.
The dreaded meatball.
Yes.
What a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame for Aidan. He was just kind of building for the weekend
Well,
after a reasonable qualifying.
It's a known thing, isn't it? I think like when we go back to qualifying, his teammate Patterson and Adam Morgan, when they both locked up, it was into turn 1, and it was early on in their tyre cycle. So clearly the tyres were up to temperature. And at the start, going back to what we were saying about rear-wheel drive cars being called tyres at the start, Moffat locks up in the first corner. I just think it's all kind of related, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
Butch and Jelly then skip the first chicane, fighting side by side. I think they end up getting past Cook, but then let him go again.
Mm-hmm.
So Cook's back up into his second. But he's never challenging anyone. He's just spending the full race trying to defend. Which, to be fair, he is able to in this race despite his speed problems.
Yeah, I think Butcher did a dive at one point and got by temporarily as well, didn't he? Down to tower, but
Yeah,
Cook got the
into
immediate
tower.
undercut or recut or whatever you might want to call it.
Yeah. And that was nice because that was the only way he was going to fight. That was just to get straight back underneath him.
Yeah.
And it did it lovely.
Another moment for our pal Creasy.
Big one.
The S's. I think he gets a puncture mid exit essentially, and it spins him into the potato field.
Yes.
The first field
which
appearance
would have been scary. yeah, for first car entry into that field this
Don't know
year.
if he got out of it again. I didn't follow that up, but
I think he made it back to the pits,
I
but he
think
had
so.
a puncture.
it was
I think
something
someone-
had gone on beforehand, right? Because he was on his own at the back.
Oh, yeah, it must have been. Yes, no, he had a puncture on the second lap, I think.
And then came in and then had that.
Yeah.
Oh, was that when that happened? I thought that was from the lap 2 puncture.
Oh no, it was lap 11, the high speed off.
Sorry, Creasy, you've had 2 disasters there. Creasy.
Yeah, it was
I
it
wonder if his
David
mates
Addison?
actually do that to him.
Yeah, David Addison called it a Code Brown moment.
He did.
Definitely. It's not where you want that to happen. Then, big moment for the championship potentially. There's a bit of contact in the straight between Tom Chilton and Ash Sutton. Chilton seems to move across. Ash is trying to go inside, and then into the corner. Chilton tags Sutton's rear left, breaking his suspension.
Was that a suspension
and
failure?
He's into the wall. I think it was. It might have been a suspension failure. It was just felt clumsy.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
the little move on the straight was unnecessary, and then the tag between Ash's back left and his front right was just like it was so
It was.
like it didn't need to happen.
The move starts when Chilton gets mugged by Sutton. We were saying earlier, not many overtakes at the hairpin. Sutton went round the outside, which is very unconventional.
Yeah.
And then he's obviously got the inside for Clover, right? So, but then I looked, according to the graphic, Chilton pushes the hybrid first. So then he gets back alongside. He nearly gets almost headish or half a car. So that's why he moves across the squeeze, I think.
Yeah.
But by then, Sutton's already on the hybrid. So then it just stabilises that gap. So that's why there's the first bit. And then there's the awkward contact at corner entry, isn't there? Where I think Chilton's almost turning a bit too early, considering there's a car on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah, as I say, I think Chilton had quite a good weekend up until this race.
Yeah. He also got muscled out from that point as well, didn't he? So
Yeah, he went down quite a few places then.
He might have started third or fourth on the grid, but then ended up down bottom end of the top 10 again.
Mm-hmm.
Sutton kept going though, managed to make it into the pits, and then reappeared with, I think, 3 laps to go.
Try and get fastest lap, eh? But it didn't quite work.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't get it, but
Worth a shot.
at least they've got the car out.
Yeah.
I know it's working.
Exactly, yeah, it's always
Worth
worth
a
trying.
try. Not much else. Race 3, to be honest. Aaron Morgan was trying to get past Chilton, spun up the rears through Sunny. Almost lost it. Lloyd almost got through, but didn't. And then 2 laps before the end, Rowbottom has been defending all race. He gets a puncture on the penultimate lap, going in towards the hairpin, and well, that's it for race 3.
Yeah.
Not much else.
Dan Lloyd had engine temperature issues in this race, apparently.
Ah, right.
Which meant he didn't want to push too hard or get too
No,
close to people.
Doesn't want to add anything to that budget,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah.
Especially after such a good weekend as well.
Exactly. Yeah, amazing weekend.
Big one for Gordon Shedden, second of the year, and it brings him into the top 10 in the
Oof,
championship.
still not a good year, though, is it, really?
No, but you never know. We're only at the halfway stage. I mean, you think you do know, but you never know.
Yeah, you don't know.
But-
That's true.
I'd say that.
Cook needed that second place.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry,
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, I still think there's 8 people in with a shout at the championship, but realistically, it's the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, it was a big blow for Sutton in that final race. It'd been very unspectacular. There's so many times this year it's been unspectacular, but that's fine because when the car's not comfortable, it's still getting those top 5, top 6 positions. It's very sensible. Whereas, unfortunately, all the bad luck in the team seems to, up until this race, gone towards the Camish side of the garage, hasn't it?
It has.
Funny that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what did Sutton finish? 16 race 1, 16 race 2. Not spectacular, is it? But it's
No,
still
but it was solid.
points. And then to get a nothing, it's almost, is it better to get like a first and then a retirement? I don't know. Yeah, of course it is.
He's still not won this year, which is
Yeah, that is bad,
ridiculous.
isn't it? That's always going to be the challenge with switching to a different team, even with the same race engineer, and a different car and a different philosophy of how it's built and a different drivetrain. He's still doing really well, though, isn't he? He's still,
Oh, yeah.
You just sort of think, oof, if he gets a couple of wins at Silverstone, it's still on.
Yeah.
I know that's not the next round, but that sort of track might suit this car.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know who Silverstone is going to... Silverstone? I can't even speak. If Silverstone will help certain teams or not.
I tell you, I think the Hyundai's look quick in a straight line. I haven't got the facts to back that up, but
You've got a feeling.
it's got a feeling.
Good for Butcher getting third.
Mm.
It's been a wee while since he's had a good weekend.
Got a couple of, we didn't get a podium last time out as well, so he's chipping away. Again, it's not sparkling, is it? I think.
No, it's solid again.
Yeah. I just can't help but feel that Cook's just slowly ebbing away from Ingram, and it's Ingram. Like all this talk about Cook being it's a champion's drive it looks a bit premature now.
Well, the driver stand is now Ingram 195, Cook 192.
I don't want to write off Cook, by the way, just to clarify, and he's only 3 points behind, but it's hard to write off Ingram, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
But I think he might be my pre-season pick.
Ooh, we'll have to look it up for next.
If he does win, then I'll take it. But
Yeah. If only we'd recorded it somewhere.
Yeah.
yeah. So championships: Ingram, Cook, Tuckton, Sutton, Hill, Butcher 6, Shedden 7th. Then you've got Lloyd, Morgan, and Rowbottom finishing at the top 10. Jack Sears trophy update since we're halfway through. Take a guess.
Oh man, I can't even remember who's in it.
I heard you click there. And
I have clicked it, but it hasn't actually loaded because it's loaded, but I have the picture of the cars at the top. Don't have a page.
Right.
Jack Sears.
I can't remember who's eligible for it. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's got to be a certain person that we watch.
Gamble.
Oh, he's second.
No, he's not.
Bobby Thompson's
Yeah.
leading.
Oh, good old Bobby Thompson.
Flying under the radar. So he's leading
I
from...
think I picked Ash Hand for this.
He's in third at the moment. feel bad because Carl Bordley's been registered on the standards now,
I've just
and it
seen
seems
that.
unfair.
Oh, that's harsh.
And he's only done one practice session.
Oh,
That seems really harsh.
yeah, he's just going to be 0 points for the whole year.
Yep. Unless Parfit's got any more gigs booked
Well, yeah,
he
there
needs
is
to
that.
shoot off for.
Got any more weddings to do?
And then, of course, the most important standings of all, the Wingfoot Award standings. Colin Turkington leads that from Jake Hill.
Okay.
So next up for BTCC is Knockhill, 30th and 31st of July. I think I'm going to be in Knockhill that week,
Nice.
but I think it's during the week I'm going. I'm going to go do my rally driving, and I don't think they'll let me do that around the car park
What's this?
when the cars are there.
Mm.
I'm going to do rally driving at Knockhill
And why are you doing it?
because someone bought me it.
Oh, nice one. That's great.
I was supposed to do it last weekend, but I had to cancel. So I think it's that week I'm doing it.
What
It'll
vehicle?
be good. I think it's a Focus. No, Fiesta.
Oh, okay, nice.
I think it's a little Fiesta you do it in. You know the big hill where you park the car on?
Yeah.
It's on that.
Oh, is it really?
There's a track up there apparently.
Oh, that's good use of space.
On
Oh, I'm
that
looking at it now. Yeah, little Fiesta going on here.
Yeah. So that'll be fun.
I wonder who the
Not
instructor will be.
Currently going to the races, but I might pop along if there's still space. And next up for us is Silverstone for the British Grand Prix this weekend. Rain potentially as well. And Mercedes have brought a few goodies, I've said.
Yeah.
So is
could this be
Williams,
the-
though, apparently, or something. I don't know.
Oh, Williams aren't going to win. Mercedes, you think they're winning a chance?
No, I don't believe the hype.
Only
Don't believe
through
the
some
hype.
kind of major incident is the only way. You know, like some big coming together between the top two and then a couple of other dodgy results. But on pure pace, not a chance.
Like an incident through cops. And
Yes, that's always possible.
so, any more for you guys on the touring cars this weekend?
Oh, yeah, I've got a couple of small rants to finish off, if that's okay.
Oh, yes.
It already annoyed me that Tom Ingram shorted to Tingram. I think
Mm.
it's a new one where he's now called Ting.
Yeah, I
Yes.
saw that.
Now, to me, that is a sparkling grapefruit beverage, isn't it?
Yes. It costs about 12 pence and a can in Witherspoons.
Yeah. So let's refrain from using that, please. Thanks. And the other one is the Morganator. I don't like that either.
What? Who said
I
that?
haven't even heard that.
That was one of the commentary team.
Oh, God.
So we don't like Ting or the Morganator. And whenever I hear these things, I always think, I look at my shelf at the unread Murray Walker tribute book, which I will get to at some point, and I think, would Murray Walker do that? I don't think he would.
No. Same
So-
with Cookie and Robo.
Yeah. Stop this. Thanks. I
So
mean,
what
but if the driver wants to put that on their helmet or whatever, more power to them. But from the media journalists, Ting is not acceptable, and neither is the Morganator.
Yeah. We've got a lot of nicknames now.
Yeah.
We've got Ting, Cookie, Flash.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised we've not got Lloydie for Dan Lloyd yet.
Lloydie.
We've got Robo.
Lord Gornall.
Oh, yeah.
Lord
Oh,
Gordon.
yeah. It's James Gordle here. That was quite lively. That's how he spoke on the grid there.
I know Rick Parfitt doesn't have a nickname, but the disdain that David Addison has for him every time he speaks about him, I do quite enjoy.
Yeah.
We need to ban nicknames, and we need to ban being able to celebrate with the crowd you've just crashed.
Yeah.
Oh, I've missed Rick this weekend.
Yeah.
There's
And
one more thing I would like to ask, actually. When we have onboard shots, and this has happened for years, and I've always wondered and never found out, why the hell do the lights all flash on the dashboard? Is this a camera thing, or are they actually flashing?
I've not noticed that.
I think it's a difference between. I think the LED does flash, but there's a difference between the rate of that flashing and the frame rate of the camera.
Yeah. So I just can't
think
assume
that's what
that's what
causes
the
it.
driver actually sees, because the the whole dashboard thing is just
I'm
lit
with
up,
you.
flashing like a, well, don't know, like a what?
Yeah, yeah. I think that they'll see them as still, but when you're recording on camera, you see the you see the
refresh
flicker.
rate. Yeah,
That would make sense. It's something I've always meant to bring up, but never have.
But if anyone's listening, let us know.
I just did.
Yeah, but I want further validation. That's not good enough.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. Any more rants for you, Tom?
Yeah, I can't find our spreadsheet where we put our predictions down. Any ideas where that is?
That's
I
only
think
your
you was the
problem.
one who did it.
I know I was. I know it's not there. Right, anyway. The other thing I was just going to say, like, we're talking all through this podcast to finish off that there's several suspension failures through contact or unknown reasons, several punctures. So, commentary seems to have the theory of it's all down to the drivers for cutting the curbs. But that was a significant issue that affected several cars on there's at least one incident for every corner of the vehicle, right? Front left, front right, rear left, rear right. You've seen the only one really that's a good on camera one to show how bad it is was the James Garner one, where he's just driving along in a straight after a corner and the front left brakes. Even with some of these lighter contacts, I don't think it's an acceptable resolution to just say, "Oh, it's cutting the curbs." So you either have to change the curbs at the track for next year, or you have to go to RML, the suspension supplier, and investigate: is there a fundamental weakness? Because these cars have spec suspension parts. You've got 30 on the grid or thereabouts, and you can't just be having these sporadic, seemingly random suspension failures. Even if they are clobbering the curbs or making contact with other cars, it's part of the touring car thing to do this. Now it is also weird that it seems to be Croft that's highlighted more than others, so it does seem to be a Croft specific thing. But let's hope that's the case. We have to keep our eyes out now for the rest of the year.
Well, Knock Hill is a track where they often abuse the curbs, so we'll see
Correct.
if anything happens there.
Now I don't know if there's been a change of. There hasn't been a change of suspension rules this year, in my understanding. But you never know if there's been a change of supplier to the supplier, or manufacturing process change, or who knows what could actually be going on. Or it could be a bad batch. All these different factors. Well, I'd like to see an investigation and an understanding of what's happening there. I'm sure that's underway. Whether or not we'll hear anything about it is quite another thing with the British Touring Car Championship. But anyway, it's just not acceptable in my opinion. You can't just be having suspension failures.
No, not that many, that's for sure.
Like we saw the Chilton and Sutton contact, and you sort of think, and the okay, well, there's contact. For me, the Shedden and Sutton contact is wheel to wheel, but it's not that heavy, and the front left collapses. Then we have Crease driving around with suspension failures, but again, it could be contact. We don't know. Ollie Jackson allegedly contact, but like Gornell, Aaron Taylor Smith to me is just like, what the heck's going on here? There's that signified to me. It's more than just a heavy rub. Okay, that's hashtag end of my rant.
Teams as well.
All different teams, all different cars, all different corners of the car. So, at different times around the lap. Not ideal, is it?
No. Let's hope they'll look into it just for you.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Just send Dom a direct email. You don't have to let us know what happens.
If drivers are thinking, oh well, the suspension's fragile, I'm not going to make a move. That's also a factor of robbing the fans of entertainment, right?
True.
Yeah, and we don't want car failures if they're not.
But it's also
not that they're ever necessary, but
yeah.
if it's avoidable,
it's a huge safety factor as well. That's my main reasoning, of course, but still.
Yeah, well, we'll see how they get through the chicane at Knockhill.
Yes.
That's where my genitals got gravelled last year, so if I do go, I won't be standing there.
Yeah.
On that note, then.
Yeah, that's a good place to end.
Yeah. On that note, Silverstone this weekend. Red Bull for me. Max.
Yep.
Champions going one way, unless Mercedes have suddenly figured out something.
Maybe Charles gets pole and it's interesting.
I'm going to say science because I'm just going to say it every race until it
At
happens.
some point, yeah, it's going to happen. I'm with you. I hope it does. But
yeah.
And the one final point is, would it be fair to say this is the first year you two are neither particularly excited about the Formula 1 video game?
No, I forgot it was coming out until I just saw a video on Reddit about someone posted a video of the AI fighting each other in front of them, and they both like wipe each other out.
Actually,
That made me go, that looks. At least they might do something this year.
If you have a right AI setting for your ability, I think the Formula 1 games have probably the best AI in racing video games. And this year's is pretty cool. Like, I was driving a race and a couple of people clashed in front of me, and I thought, oh, that's quite good. But there's some serious fragilities with the stability of the game this year, and all the effort's gone into these supercars, which are fun for 10 minutes, and that's it. That's my opinion. Read more. GG.
It's not progressed. That's the main problem for me.
Yeah, correct.
You might as well have last year's game with a visual update to it. I don't see what else there is to bring you into it.
I just really hope behind the scenes they're actually working on like a thorough refresh for like 24. In that case, fine, no problem. But that's not been communicated because obviously you want people to buy this one. So
yeah,
I think the PS4 is still what's holding it back.
That could be that as well. Yeah, they have to try and make it for that. Interesting that this year that only if you buy the deluxe super duper digital version, that's the only version you actually get the PS4 version as well. So I think it's slowly they're proceeding backwards from that.
Sorry, I say PS4 because I myself have a PlayStation, but also the Xbox, the old Xbox
One,
cater for. Yeah. But yeah, I want something that's a fully next gen game.
Correct. Yeah, and me too. And maybe that doesn't come till the year after next. We'll see.
I did see a video online. Someone posted the start of the race with 2 punctured tires. It just started, and as soon as the lights went out, the 2 front tires just deflated.
At least their race started. We during the review period having all sorts of issues with struggling to get to even that point.
Dear.
So it's patched a bit since, but anyway, I digress. End of podcast.
Okay, we'll be back next week with the British Grand Prix, and we've got a month off until Knockhill. So a nice wee break over the summer from touring cars.
Yeah, they're doing a tyre test quickly out there. That's in between, I think. And also, British Grand Prix is free to air for everybody.
Oh yes.
Is it going to be like Abu Dhabi though, where you've got to listen to the Sky commentary stuff
no,
on Channel 4?
I think the Channel 4 arrangement is that for the British Grand Prix anyway, it's their own comms. But I just thought they'd do it last year where they have like 3 commentators. If they just have Alex Jacks and Coulthard, that's happy with me. And that's one good thing about the Formula 1 game is you can turn off David Croft and switch him for Alex Jacks this year.
Yeah, I was thinking
Ooh.
That.
Yep. They actually give you an option.
They give you an option in the menu. You can choose between the 2 people.
I wonder how Crofty feels about that.
I'm not sure, but it's refreshing anyway because you've heard him for so many years. Yeah.
Is Jeff still in it?
No, that's replaced. He's been replaced by Mark Elvis Priestley, who is a former McLaren Formula 1 mechanic who's written a book, which I just read recently. It's quite good. And he's also the co-presenter of Wheeler Dealers these days.
Yeah, which still seems weird, but yeah.
Yes, especially because in his book, there's a bit, it says, because I'm a Formula 1 mechanic, all my mates ask me to fix their cars, and I don't know what I'm doing with cars, so never ask me again. And fast forward 5 years, he's doing the mechanic bit of Wheeler Dealers.
I do feel bad that Jeff's gone.
Yes. Hashtag bring back Jeff.
At least
who else will I ask about my fuel targets on?
Yeah, exactly. Who else is going to ignore you?
Yeah. As I cycle through my various accents until it finally understands. I think I got to Cornwall when it decided to actually listen to me that time.
Yeah.
Right.
So, any more for you guys?
No, I've derailed the end of this podcast 3 times.
No, I'm all good.
Right. That'll do it.
Goodbye.
So, thank you. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.